All right, JP. Thanks for joining us again on the Next Gen North podcast, Crypto Watch. Where are you joining us from today, mate?
I'm currently at the Executive FBO Lounge here in Sydney. I'm shortly about to meet Channel 7 to take them out to the helicopter to do a short news segment on my trip back from New Zealand last week. It's one of the few and only trips to New Zealand and back with a single engine helicopter. So that's happening in 30 minutes, so we'll keep this short. But some big news today in the crypto world. We'll get straight into it. The Ethereum ETF has been approved. It's not trading yet. It's probably a few months away, but it's mind-blowing in the sense that at the start of the year, we had the Bitcoin ETF approved, and now we've got the Ethereum ETF approved. Now, if for those not following along, Ethereum was always viewed in a very weird sense that because they did an ICO, but it's now decentralized, there was a lot of chatter from regulators that it was initially a security, what they deemed a security, and then they weren't sure as to if it was launched as security and to become a security today. When did that transition occur, and if you could still call it a security? But however, because it's now listed as an ETF, they've clearly deemed it as a commodity. So at some point, Ethereum, which was launched in a security-like manner, has now become a commodity. So that's very unique for an asset to transition from one to another, and it means that now the Ethereum ETF is approved, that a whole stack of crypto assets which follow the same pathway as Ethereum, as in launch with a initial coin offering and take investor funds and transition to a decentralized network over time, have clearly demonstrated that they can start as security but become an asset, like a commodity or a non-security like asset. What this means is Ethereum has been professionalized, and now it's suitable to be held in people's superannuation funds and beyond, starting in the US and spreading around the world. So a big day for the crypto world, because it basically is professionalizing and validating the industry, and this means it's going to Trojan horse more of the financial system. So there we go, big day.
Beautiful. So the Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act was passed in the House of Congress in the US. Is this a positive or negative thing for crypto in your mind? Have you been watching that one?
Yeah, I mean, that basically means that the SEC loses the regulatory oversight of these assets, and they hand it over to CFTC, the commodities regulator. Now, who is more hostile here? Typically, I mean, Gary Gensler, who's been leading the SEC for the last few years, has been clearly hostile to the crypto industry, fielding widespread hostile lawsuits after Coinbase, Ripple, Ethereum, Uniswap, etc. So he's clearly demonstrated a very hostile stance, and it's been very unpopular. Now, his background was CFTC, and traditionally the CFTC, the commodities regulator, has been neutral to crypto assets more so than SEC, but they could still come out with hostile regulation. So let's just see. But it just means that the SEC has lost the purview of these crypto commodities and is now going to the CFTC. Look, to me, it's not really relevant. Crypto assets don't try to exist inside regulatory frameworks. They try to exist outside of them. So you can overanalyze and analyze and try and overthink and these announcements and whatever, or you can just leapfrog that and say, hey, these protocols are supranational. They exist outside regulatory frameworks in the point. So all of this is just trivial, just he says, she says, circle jerk nonsense that we will transition beyond in 10 to 20 years time. These assets can't be controlled by regulators because they are information that flow freely. So I personally don't care. Whether it gets approved or disproved is really a function of an interim period. If they are disproved today, I don't care, because in 5 to 10 years time, they're going to get approved, because the regulator has to meet the needs of the people. And if the people want these assets, which they do, the regulator has to meet those needs. The regulator is trying to it's not trying to prevent people from doing what they want to do. A good regulator should take that approach. A bad regulator has their own ulterior motives. But fundamentally, the voice of the people is represented by government agencies, and they need to follow that needs the people. And we've seen this clearly. The Biden administration taking a very hostile stance to crypto. Trump was pro crypto, pro Bitcoin, blah blah blah. Very negative sentiments flipping toward the Democrat side. They flipped 180, and now suddenly we're getting pro crypto stance from the Biden administration. So whatever, doesn't matter. I'm building and I'm thinking 5-10 years in the future when all this is quite irrelevant anyway. Now, getting back to Ethereum, for some of the listeners may be wondering, why is Ethereum different to Bitcoin and how is it? So Bitcoin is a monetary asset that doesn't seek to do anything more than be money. It's really good at not changing, which is important for a monetary asset that you rely on to store value across time and space. You do not want it to change its qualities on you while you store value in it, because your time and effort is scarce. Ethereum, in my opinion, while it does contain a capture monetary premium, because it accrues value to itself from its usage, it will be, in my opinion, a settlement layer for tokenized US treasuries. Over the next 20, 30 years, most of the world's currencies will move away from these individual hyperinflated, centrally managed, poor liquid assets, and they will, through network effects and Gresham's law, they will move to a global standard, which is going to be stable coins around the United States dollar. So I'm not too worried about the US racking up huge amounts of debt, because the US, as a reserve asset of the world, sells its dollar overseas. So right now it's 35 trillion. They could easily keep selling dollars, and it's going to be an infinite demand for US dollars. Not infinite, but a very large demand for US dollars as all the world's currencies move into the USD, ditching the legacy currencies. We're already starting to see that happen. And it's not going to be bank accounts of the Federal Reserve. It's going to be tokenized US treasuries. So USDC, USDT, and other stable coins are going to be adopted by Ethereum settlement layers and Solana settlement layers. So these L1s are going to become stablecoin settlement layers over the next 10 to, and they're perfectly suitable for that. You could easily go to a small country, I don't know, like Vanuatu, and put them on an Ethereum L2 and move the entire currency system into literally an FL2 that settles US treasuries with two types of transactions: private transactions between users and public transactions between public agencies, with an on-chain tax collection layer to completely automate the financial system in the world. The reserve, or the financial arm of the government, can tweak the economy by just tweaking tax levers around the transactions, but it's all done in a completely automated way. Private citizens have access to private payments between their wallets, and public agencies should be mandated to do public payments at all times. There's a difference between public money and private money. And right now, like, cash is private, and like public agencies like being secretive about their payment and spending, and it's rife with corruption and bribery and like backhanded deals. So absolutely is a need for public transactions and private transactions. Government agencies should be public transactions. Private citizens should use private transactions. So there's a clear vision there, and I'm definitely at one point in time considering writing a manifesto about how this could be enacted, and potentially even seeking a small island nation to attempt rolling this new economic system out.
Interesting. And just as an aside, I see Donald Trump is now accepting campaign donations in digital currency, so that just confirms what you're saying. Just along the lines of ETFs, so the ASX is reportedly considering the launch of Bitcoin ETFs following the US, Hong Kong. Issuers are potentially VanEck and BetaShare. What impact do you see this as having?
Yeah, as just discussed, like Ethereum ETF mean inflows to ETH, which means price action. What's interesting about ETH is not only can you hold it, but you can stake it. So BlackRock and VanEck will potentially be able to put the ETH in staking pools and earn yield on it, which will actually make it quite an attractive vehicle of choice. So we'll see how we go. That's probably not going to happen initially. It's probably take a few years for that transition to happen, but let's just see.
Last month, so cryptocurrency trading volume declined for the first time in about 7 months. Do you think this is due to the Bitcoin halving, or was there some other factors involved?
So, I mean, we had huge momentum this quarter. The Bitcoin ETF launch, huge demand there. We saw massive inflows. And as you know, Bitcoin moves the market. So as Bitcoin was moving around, like the whole market just grew up in volume. There was a cooling off because Bitcoin went way too fast, way too quickly into the halving. Everyone's like hyping it. And halving is not an overnight thing. I mean, yeah, the block rewards halve overnight, but the effects of the halving are experienced plus minus 12 months and plus 12 months, right? So the bear market is always 12 months before the halving, and the top of the bull market is always 12 to 18 months after the halving. So this kind of cool off is like this kind of myopic market that like moves in and moves out. So I forecasted that May, June are going to be green months, and so far May has been printed a green month. June should also as well. We may see a cool off in July, and then August, September we go for. We will see all time highs for most coins this year, right before Christmas, and we will see a top of the market in 12 to 18 months' time. You should easily expect a 4 to 5x of the market still in the next 12 months.
Wow. Bitcoin hit a new milestone recently, processing 1 billion transactions and being the first blockchain to do so. Is this significant in your mind, or was it just always inevitable?
So Bitcoin's following a couple of power curves. So the first one is adoption of users. So we went from 0 users in 2009 to upwards of potentially 9 billion users using Bitcoin. At the same time, Bitcoin went from holding $0 in value in 2009 to today, almost 2 trillion. And what's the upper limit? 1 quadrillion. So right now we probably have 100 million-ish UTXOs or like wallets. And so, we've gone from 0 to 100 million. We still got another 100x to go of user accounts, and from 2 trillion to 1 quadrillion. That's also, roughly, whatever, another 100x there. So there's 2 power curves, 100 times 100 of adoption there. And so it's only inevitable. Like it's more people will adopt digital currencies. In the future, we'll have more and more bots, humanoid bots taking your coffee orders and cleaning up your house. And first, they will accrue value. They're not going to take your credit card payment. They're going to be taking crypto payments because it's faster, more divisible. You can stream it, etc., etc. So, you'll be paying your vacuum cleaner in the future to vacuum your floor. You'll stream payments to whatever. So, bots paying bots, bots paying humans, humans paying bots. It's all coming down range, and it's not going to be serviced by like a Visa Light network. It's going to be serviced by highly scalable Ethereum L2s or L2s on Bitcoin. So that's happening. It's going to be like a very diverse environment. You're not going to have I believe the value side that you'll have a Pareto distribution. So Bitcoin will be Pareto because of its value preservation characteristics. But on the layer 1 and the layer 2 front, I just think you're going to see a massive application specific diversification. What's more important is the ability to move freely between all the L2s very quickly. So swapping and bridging is paramount, and like more and more infrastructure is being built in that regard. ThorChain is helping with that, and like products like Multisig are putting a lot of emphasis on being able to move very rapidly in the multi-chain environment because it's got lots of chains, and the best chains will win, but we don't know the winners yet. A very interesting chain that network that not people are probably aware of. So I use Telegram on the daily. Telegram's a messenger, and they've basically have almost 1 billion users now, and they launch a blockchain through like a decentralized community, and 1 billion users potentially using opening up crypto wallets and paying each other in a messaging app. Pretty cool. We'll see where that goes. Another messaging app that people should try out is Session Messenger. Session Messenger is a messenger that I had part of launching 7 years in Melbourne. It's an amazing app. It's properly decentralized, so you can text in a fully encrypted way between users. It has a reimagined monetization model. They've got a premium subscription, and that premium subscription is paid for in crypto. But it's a decentralized encrypted messenger, open source, audited. So you can jump on Signal, but Signal is pretty clearly captured by US federal agencies. We don't yet know, like Pavel from Telegram is always saying that he's resisting government capture, but the fact is in the app stores and iOS and App Store, we know that iOS have heaps of backdoors with federal agencies. He may be mandated to have a backdoor there. You don't know. Although, he has always said what he said he was going to do. So, I'll happily use Telegram and trust Pavel, the founder of Telegram, that he says what he does. I do not trust the founder of like WhatsApp or all that team there, or I don't trust Signal. So you just move like water. Use the projects that you can trust through your own due diligence, and don't use the projects and protocols that you can't trust. But you got to form your own opinion, and you got to look at the technology stack and to arrive at those conclusions.
Right. So you might have already covered this, but some analysts have said that Bitcoin's bottomed out based on the short-term holder realized price of 61.5K US support. So where do we go from here?
Look, it's this year is going to print green candles. We had a couple of red candles in a row. This quarter was definitely overhyped. That was fine. But I think we should see it 2x this year, for sure. Caveat, caveat, caveat. So what are we right now today? So 67 grand. May was a green month. Some good volumes there. I think Bitcoin will 2x before the end of the year for sure.
Wow. All right, well, moving on to Bitcoin runes. So they were launched during the most recent halving event. Can you tell us a little bit about Bitcoin runes and the role you expect them to play?
Oh, I mean, that was just like a temporary, momentary hype. I did not participate at all because it's just massively overhyped, and it's just and basically you can make a payment on chain, and if you do the transaction in a certain way, there's an off-chain indexing layer that looks at those transactions and they build a token database around it. So there's a whole bunch of runes launched. One rune in particular, Uncommon Goods, was launched at the halving, and it's going to run for the next 4 years. And there's, you can mint as much as you want. You just can only mint once per block. I mean, it's an experiment. All this is PvP. You have to understand that these money games are player versus player. Yeah, it's you versus everyone else, and people who play the game really well, you know, can win. People who don't play the game or don't want to try and understand the rules or like the back half of the game, it's all about understanding where you are. Like if you don't know where you are in the order, then don't play the game. Like if you don't know the rules, don't play the game because basically you're going to lose. So if you definitely know that you're early and you understand the system, then participate. But if you don't know and you're just blindly throwing darts on the dartboard, then my recommendation to you is do not play the game.
So you're not seeing them as the next big development for Bitcoin like some others?
No, I mean, they're just a temporary hype. Let's just see that the technology is very primitive. But I mean, Bitcoin is deliberately designed to be as difficult and as sanitized towards money transfer as possible. That's its value. Protocols like ThorChain can happily connect to Bitcoin and give it financial services on a second layer. So Bitcoin L2s are going to be very interesting to observe. I think there's all so much going on. You just want to get in. There's so much infrastructure that needs to be built. There's still terrible wallet layers, and people are nervous in self custody when they shouldn't be. And so that's part of my efforts is to build infrastructure that makes it easier for people to participate and safe for them to participate. And I've been doing this for, I've been in crypto for 11 years now, and I've been building for 8 years now. And every day I wake up and say, how can I make this industry more palatable and easy to navigate for the average user?
Right. Well, Fetch AI surged 247%. I think I'm not sure what time frame that is, but AI tokens have been some of the best performing cryptos this year. Do you see this continuing, particularly with the rise of Nvidia and those sorts of things?
Look, it's also another bubbly hype market that I'm just staying clear of because there's no clear value accrual mechanisms right now. People don't yet understand why they should be looking for open source AI models when ChatGPT is like $20 a month, or free actually. So because ChatGPT hasn't done mass betrayal of its users yet, people can happily use ChatGPT and they've got the funding required to build the best models and yada yada. So I personally use ChatGPT because it's got the best models, and they haven't betrayed me yet. I turn all my data collection off, and I'm using it. I will not use an open source AI product yet because the models will be inferior. The value creation will be unconvincing, and there's just so many problems to solve. I'll give it 4 years, like a complete cycle, before I'll look into it. I believe in decentralized AI and like a decentralized data collection layer, and a decentralized model mining layer, and a decentralized inference layer. But right now, people don't really see the need for it. It does need to be built, but the projects building those AI stack should just go and quietly build it and wait for adoption first before raising huge amounts of money and causing massive value extraction and poor user experiences. So like heaps of people have pitched me AI projects, and I've just had a blanket no to them all because I said, go away and get product market fit and users paying for your services, and then come back to me. And none of them have it. So like, why would I participate? Because it's just going to turn into a bubble, and then it's just basically a PvP game. And I don't have time to play these silly games, and I want to build useful products.
Right. So over the next few weeks, what are you looking at? What are the buys?
I don't trade. I just pick up assets and invest and build. So for me personally, right now, I made some large investments this year already. $2 million US in Thor Wallet, which I'm helping to build into like a crypto.com. Just invested $1 million into Bolt. Bolt is this online value community around content creators. So they've got 3 million users, 10 million TVs around the world. Lots of streaming infrastructure, and we're working with them to create like a GameFi platform where gamers can live stream their games and people can bet on it. Because I can see the last 8 years, no one likes paying for stuff online, but they love in Web3, but they love gambling and like betting and like speculating. So we're trying to build a product that kind of attract this kind of like DJ and crypto speculation, but in a fun way, where people don't really get too hurt, but they can support the community and drive value towards content creators. Because the only way we can stay competitive against the bot is celebrating our ability to create from zero. Humans are really good at creating things, imagining things up, and that as a demonstration of their intelligence. So we need to reward content creators, else the bots are just going to deliver, a million, infinite stream of garbage content. So we need to like go back to the basics and reward human creators for creating stuff. So that's what I'm passionate about. Bolt, 3 million users, a clear path to 100 million users. I get to talk to these users, have my own channel up there. And it's just like a modern streaming platform, but I get to be a part of the owner from day one. So yeah, I'm super excited about it. It's global. It's been used all over the world, and my brand's going to be global. So I want to speak to a global audience. That's Bolt. I'm helping a team very close to me launch TradeForge, which is going to be an NFT breeding game with a giant honeypot. That's going to be announced soon, called TradeForge. It's actually headquartered and built in Darwin, so just like actually across the road from you guys. TradeForge is super exciting. It's an NFT honeypot game where all the mint fees go into this giant honeypot that people compete for. It's completely player versus player. There's some really strong value accrual around the NFTs itself. And it's just going to be a fun game where there's focus on the PvP aspects and the growth of the game and the fun, rather than just massive value extraction like all the other NFT projects. So that's a big I'm massively subscribed to the whole representation or the idea that humans are on this billion-year genetic pathway of growth and evolution of itself. Darwin theory of evolution, and so this NFT game, no surprise here, is like this breeding game where like you get these random traits that are spawned at the genesis of the game, and they look really cool. And there's like this conversion from the human form to humanoid to finally the bot form across 10 generations, which could take 5 years to mint. And you kind of like forge and merge with these entities as a celebration of genetic evolution. So it's a really cool game with some really strong memes behind it. And I got a few other things there which I'm not really ready to announce, but yeah, that's what I'm working on at the moment.
All right. Well, I don't have too many other questions. Unless there's any other insights you'd like to share with us, we can leave it there. Just wanted to mention one thing. Happy Bitcoin Pizza Anniversary Day. Are you aware of the Bitcoin Pizza Anniversary?
Yeah, I mean, I don't eat pizza anymore because I'm a carnivore. But I mean, everyone talks about the guy that sold his Bitcoin for a pizza. But what about the guy that sold the pizza for the Bitcoin? Like, where did that Bitcoin end up? There's always a trade.
It was 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas in 2010, which would be worth about 700 million USD.
Yeah, I mean, someone's got that 10,000 Bitcoin. All those early guys sold the Bitcoin so quickly. Like, very few OGs actually had like a 10, 20-year thesis. They were just like gamblers back then. So I've never sold Bitcoin. I build value and I sell my peripheral assets, but Bitcoin is held forever. If I want to get liquidity on Bitcoin, I just like use it as lending collateral. So very tax efficient manner. Lock up my Bitcoin as collateral and borrow against it. Done. Way to go.
Beautiful. All right. Well, I know you're a busy man, JP. So if there's nothing else, mate, we'll leave it there.
Good on you, buddy. Talk soon.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. See ya.